It's 6:30. It's still dark, and I am headed to the racetrack for the ChampCar Amp'd Up Duals 8-hour endurance race for Saturday. Seems early, but I actually woke up at 3:45, I think, which isn't so bad because I was really tired last night. I went to bed at 9:30 or so, but the instant I woke up this morning, my brain just started going. And I guess that's one of the downsides of being still a novice racer, is that it's a little anxiety inducing still. I think it's funny, I'm reading The Hobbit to my 7-year-old daughter, and one of the big things at the start of the book is that Bilbo is just straight up terrified about the idea of going on an adventure. And you know, you can't blame him, but you know, the hobbits are these like really chilled out, they just love staying at home, being homebodies, drinking tea, smoking pipes, that kind of thing, eating 7 meals a day. And of course, I think the author like focused on that so much because it's clear to the audience that we really want Bilbo to go on the adventure, because if Bilbo doesn't go, there's no story, there's no book. And I feel like the race car stuff is a similar thing with me, where obviously it would be a lot easier and a lot less stressful and a lot cheaper to just stay home and not do the race car thing. But where would the stories be? And a big part of this channel is just that I've found that getting into this stuff, you encounter a lot of stories to tell, and I want to be able to tell them. And so that's what this is all about. And today's hopefully going to provide an interesting story.
Try to cycle the, cycle the windshield wipers so Josh won't be finicky about it.
I'm filming.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Hey, good morning. We're out at the track.
God,
Dave is cleaning my windshield for me. Don't miss anything, Dave. I like a nice clear windshield. It's a madhouse here this morning. You know, there were a lot of people here yesterday, but there's no place to park today. It's crazy. I think we got 40 minutes until the race starts. I just felt some drizzle. There are plenty of clouds in the sky.
Clean that inside windshield.
I'm gonna go get suited up and get ready to drive. Hey, real quick, I'm here with my new production assistant, Patrick. Patrick tells me that he knows his way around a GoPro. He's Richard's brother. You can see the resemblance. Half brother? Brother by blood? Half brother. Stop. That's why Patrick's so handsome. Anyway, it should be fun. And if there's any bad camera work, it's probably Patrick's fault.
Chance of rain gets higher starting at 3.
Yeah, it looked like it wasn't going to rain until, of any substance until 4 or 5.
More likely, so we'll stick to that plan unless things so Josh, Richard, you, me.
Okay.
Okay, so we're going out on grid in just a few minutes, like 10 minutes, maybe less than that now. So starting to get nervous. Also, I just saw Randy Popst and talked to him a little bit, and he said that he might be starting in that, I think it's called the Flying Moose Volvo. If I got to race on the same track with Randy Popst, that would be a dream come true, so we'll see.
Well, we got off to a rainy start, and I was pretty far back. I did start to catch some of the even slower cars, but it wasn't long before the much faster cars were starting to go by me. So it just took me a long time to get comfortable. Here I'm shouting hi to Randy Popst, but spoiler alert, that wasn't Randy Popst. He did not start the race. There were cars spinning off here and there, and here I found a 944 that I was catching up to, and had what felt to me like a fun little battle, which was really more of a game of me trying to catch this guy and not really succeeding. And that went on for several laps, which at least was a lot of fun for me because I had somebody who had similar pace that I was trying to get. I did a really half-hearted kind of look on the inside into one here, and it wasn't going to happen. So went on for a really long time, and I felt like I could get him. I was definitely catching him in some of the tighter stuff, but he would always pull away from me on the straight. So you can see here, you know, I'm pretty close to him, but away he goes. And our car is about 100 points under the limit in terms of performance, so we could add a supercharger or swap in a bigger motor and get more power, and the car would be more competitive within the class. But that's just the way it goes. Maybe for the future we'll do some upgrades. Sometimes faster cars would come along and the traffic would slow me down a little bit, and so he would build a bigger gap, but then of course that traffic works both ways, and sometimes he would get held up. And here's a slower Miata that allowed me to catch up a little bit. But unfortunately, you know, looking back at the video, you always realize you could have been a lot more aggressive. Some of these faster cars coming through, you're going to see a white Lexus, and he is very aggressive. He just dives in and expects that people are going to give him room, and it appeared to always work for him, but that was not my style. I need to work on, I think, getting a little more aggressive, especially when we get more competitive with the car. But a lot of the slower cars will make a point of letting you through. This Corvette was really cool. He said he had 300 pound-feet of torque at the wheels from the factory, and you can watch him through this carousel just totally, you know, leaving me behind. You know, I was full throttle and he's disappearing into the distance. Meanwhile, this Camaro didn't have as much grip as that Corvette, still had significantly more power than we did, but I was being held up through the twisty stuff, and thankfully here he let me by, which was nice. And you find in ChampCar that most of the time people give you plenty of room and make a point of letting you by, even if you're racing for position. I found that sometimes if people recognize that they were a bit slower, they would let you through, and I tried to return that favor. This Mustang though, man, you know, you'll see here he's got a ton of speed, but he just isn't doing a great job controlling the power, and so he starts to lose it, which caused me to get on the brakes out of fear, and then he took off. Coming up here in a second is the only real moment of the stint. I'm coming down this straightaway into turn 10, I think it is, and I went wide to let a guy through, and I carried too much speed, and then whoop, I slipped off onto the rumble strip. I thought I was going off the track for sure, so it doesn't look like much in the video, but it was absolutely terrifying in person. Here's a guy, I don't know how he lost it on the inside going into one, but it happened. And hey, look, we caught the 944 again somehow. I think you can see the track has started to dry off pretty significantly, and so I've got a lot more confidence. I'm pushing the pace a lot harder, and right here I'm being held up significantly. So I'm really hounding him and trying to stick to him. But of course on the straights he's got more power. Traffic came into play too and created more of a gap. And that was kind of a fun little sequence. But thankfully for me, he decided after I think a couple of laps of chasing him that he would just go ahead and let me through, which was nice of him to do. And again, it made it so much more fun to be trying to chase somebody down. That competitive thing in an endurance race, it can be tough to have a sense of where you are relative to other drivers, but when you know that there's somebody who is on the same lap as you and you're fighting for position and you get that position like I do here, even though he definitely gave it to me, it's a great feeling, and that's kind of makes some of the harder parts about it worthwhile. So I think this is my fastest lap, or maybe my second fastest lap coming up, and funnily enough, I have to actually pass this guy on the inside of turn 1 to start this lap. So theoretically, the lap could have been a little faster if I didn't do that, but you're trying to get through turn 1 so you can get on the throttle, full throttle as soon as possible, and carry as much speed up this hill and into this little bend. And then we get hard on the brakes here, set up the turn, and then we're going into the carousel with just a dab of brakes, and then very quickly we're full throttle again and just locking in the steering and trying to stay on the inside for this apex so that we can set up going down the hill. I'm trying to rev it all the way out in third. We see the light come on, hard on the brakes, downshift to second, get this apex, and then you're allowed to track all the way out onto this kind of runoff area. And then again, you're trying to get a good run up this hill and then back down. Easier said than done when you've got 100 horsepower. And then hard on the brakes before the 1 marker, clip this apex, ride it out to the curbing on the right, and then set up this next turn. If you hit this apex, you're generally pretty good. Track out on to the curb, little bit of brakes at the top. You want to get as far to the right as you can, and I kind of messed that up. And then back left, I missed that apex, had to kind of correct some oversteer a little bit, and then full throttle. And you're going to be full throttle in this car all the way through this long sweeper, which is I think 14, and then 15, and then turn 16 takes you onto the front straightaway, so you go left and then start turning in right, and again full throttle. I think by the end we're probably hitting right around 100 miles an hour in the Miata. So that was a decent lap for me, definitely not perfect, but it felt pretty good. I'm proud of how I was able to pick up the pace throughout the race, and by the end I was doing pretty respectable laps. Our fuel situation, though, I was not the full 2 hours in. I probably could have done another couple of laps, but we just didn't want to risk it, and so the team called me in. I think I was maybe 5 or 10 minutes short of the 2 hour mark when I came in, and it was time for our first pit stop.
How are we doing time? All right, I've kind of recovered from doing my stint. It was pretty awesome. At the beginning, it started raining like right at the start of the race, and then rained for a while. I don't like racing in the rain. It's just not fun. I have no idea how to go fast, so I was really slow. I started third to last, and then somebody luckily like spun out on the very first lap, so I'm pretty sure I was never in dead last place. But even so, I was just so slow, and when I started to try to push the pace a little bit, I would lock it up and slide and scare myself, so it was no good. But finally it stopped raining, the racing line dried out. Then I started getting comfortable with the brakes. I started pushing. For the last half or maybe more of that stint, I was having a blast. I got a lot of good passes in. I was really working on my lines and going as fast as I could safely. And it was fun to deal with faster traffic going by. So the whole thing was a great time. I highly recommend it. All right, so we got the timing and scoring website thing working, so we can kind of see what my lap times looked like.
So yeah, you were running, I'm not sure what was going on here, because you were running 44s, 45s pretty consistently when it was wet. You dropped down to the 43s, 42s, and then you came back out and started hitting 42s and then into 41s.
So what was my best one?
41.6.
Okay, and I think my personal best is 40.5.
Yeah, I think it was 40.8.
40.8. Okay, so I was within a second of my best.
Yeah.
And it's funny, like when you're pushing, you realize how much deeper you need to dig to go from like 90% to 100%. It's a lot harder to do the 10/10 lap than the 9/10 lap.
Yeah.
And then what's our place?
P23.
So we're 23 out of
43.
43.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Although, no, sorry. 4 of them didn't start. So 23 out of 39.
Hey, still roughly,
nice. Yeah,
right in the center. Not bad. Cool. All right, obviously, Richard's safety is important to me. but as long as Richard is safe, if he had an incident, that can't be bad for making the video interesting. What do we know, Justin?
We know that Richard had a lap time increase of 20-25 seconds. So that means he probably went off somewhere.
Went off track.
Richard's been out for close to 2 hours. Dave is in the process of trying to tell him to slow down on the radio to conserve fuel. Justin's getting suited up. How are you feeling?
Doing good. Doing good.
What's foremost on your mind right now before you get in?
Just trying to stay calm, make sure I'm ready for it. Keep car on track. That's the red one. Where's that? Radio check. We can't hear.
So I'm with my boy Richard. He just got out of the car. We looked like the Keystone Cops a little bit with the pit stop, but that's all right. We were maybe 10 seconds over the time limit, at least getting him out. I think you want to be at the end of the pit. Anyway, Richard, tell us about your stint.
It was good. Started out in the 150s, worked it down to about 142. Tried to overtake a 944, I think, and lost the car in, was that turn 8 maybe? But I think I spun it twice. Saw the tire wall coming at me, somehow got it straightened out, stopped, restarted it, got back on the track. I took it fast, too fast, trying to pass a car. I think it was a 944.
It's interesting how trying to pass somebody or let somebody by you get off your line, and it can really make things crazy really fast.
It was tough to pass them because they were a lot faster in the straights, but going more cautiously in the turns. So we kept cat and mousing, and I thought I could take it, and didn't do it right.
Right on. So overall, like, how was the stint, would you say?
It was really good.
Did you have fun?
Yeah, I had a lot of fun. I was a little bit worried about doing the full duration. The headset went out about 10 minutes before I came in, so I gave 3 laps of warning, hey, I'm coming in, and nobody responded, so I took it in.
he can definitely tell that it's getting more greasy, and so we're pretty certain that it's not going to last until the end of the race. So the debate is whether we go ahead and bring him in early to put fresh tires on so he can pick up his lap times versus wait until he comes in for his required pit stop for fuel. Right now it looks like we're going to keep him out for his entire stint. It seems like the fuel will last because he had a lot of yellow time that slowed him down. He's been in a lot of traffic, but we'll see what happens. It sucks because he wants to go faster, but the tires aren't there. The tire situation seems to be okay, and now we're really trying to make sure that Justin maximizes his stint. The general idea of the plan is that we're going to change both of the passenger side tires and put on fresh new tires when he comes in. We want him to come in as late as possible, so basically right at 2:30 p.m., and that will give Dave the shortest stint, which means Dave will be able to push as hard as he can on the fresh tires.
Yep. Radio hooked up. Alright, I need it for the torque. Drop it. And time has just expired, so we're good. Look out. Good. All right, let's go. You're good. Now we gotta start the car. Wait, Dave.
Justin came back in. The tire was pretty much dead and he was out of fuel. He said that the car started chugging because it was literally out of fuel on his last lap. He came in. We've got a timer for the minimum pit stop time. We managed to do the tire change. Everybody working together. We got it done with like maybe 10 seconds expired past the timer, so we barely lost any time. So now Dave's out there with a fresh set of tires on the passenger side, full load of fuel, and the time is 2:32, so he's got just under a 2-hour stint. So now the question is going to be, can he manage the fuel and do that full stint? We'll see. But that was a lot of fun. That was like NASCAR style pit stop. Good times. Dave did a really incredible job driving and had a lot of really close battles and took some positions. Sadly, the forward-facing GoPro died during Justin's stint, so we've got no forward-facing footage from Dave's stint. We have some great footage from tomorrow, though. So Justin just came in from his stint. We did our crazy pit stop. Justin, how was it out there?
It was interesting. It was busy. We got a lot of yellow flags, a lot of people driving pretty slow and a little bit erratic. So we got everyone bunched up and had to work through traffic.
Okay.
But eventually got my groove. It took about an hour for everything to clear down.
It was weird for me. There was a combination of track conditions and just time in the car, and then you start to settle in.
Yeah.
Because you didn't have that much time in the car with those brakes either.
No. I mean, 10 minutes, 15 minutes yesterday. So.
You had a little off right at the beginning?
Yeah, it took a while at the beginning. I was braking, but I wasn't braking hard enough. So first 2 laps, I put it in the tire or the sand at the end of the front straight. But I was able to drive it out. Didn't lose a lot of time on that, but
okay.
Had to recalibrate how much pressure this brakes actually took.
Right on.
So, an interesting, I was on the radio with Justin a lot when he was out there, and I could feel our team competitiveness like starting to kick in. Like, we're strategizing about how we could do better, because we're out there, like, you pass people for position. We're trying to make it work. We're trying to make our fuel strategy work. That was a lot of fun for me.
Yeah, it was. I mean, once you got the groove of it and could drive the car, it was kind of fun because you could actually put it in position to pass people in interesting spots.
Right.
And so,
and I feel like overall, we're racing right now. We're not just like messing around, we're racing.
no, absolutely. And then the piece we got to figure out is pass people under brakes, having enough confidence in the brakes to go underneath someone, get the car slowed down, and get it in the right position to make the pass hold. I could get underneath people, but I was never confident that I could get that corner. So there were a few times where I went underneath someone, they turned down.
I think fresh tires, I felt like I had that because the tires were good. So.
Yeah, so that's one of the biggest things we got to work on.
And I guess one thing we learned is there are tires out there that can last 2 entire race weekends, and our tires can't last an entire race. So
so we definitely need to make that swap as soon as we can.
Yeah, right on. Cool. Good job, buddy.
Thanks.
I was on the radio with Dave about this for a long time, and this is the moment when he passes this BMW 330 for position, and I can't remember any time I've been more excited at a sporting event as I was when Dave made this pass. It was pretty awesome. Great driving, Dave.
Justin just said something to me that blew my mind. Justin, tell them what you just told me.
Well, currently we're about 4th in class. And Josh had never heard of anything called contingency money. So we have registered with Mazda. And based on our position in this race, we can apply for contingency money because we finished so well out of our class. So we are now officially paid race car drivers. So that makes us
if Dave
professionals.
Can stay in the position that he's in, we're pro race drivers. We're getting paid to do this.
If Dave messes it up.
There's a lot riding on Dave's shoulders right now. He is past the halfway point in his stint. He's more than past his halfway on fuel. He was quote unquote slowing it down, but he was running faster slow laps than any of us ran as fast as we were able to go. So he has slowed it down several seconds a lap further. We're hoping that'll be enough to get us all the way through this stint. Man, I thought we were gonna do it. Less than 10 minutes left in the race. Dave ran out of fuel basically. Luckily he was able to bring it in. We filled him up, but every fuel stop is a mandatory 5 minutes, so we lost a position from that. We were in 11th, and I'm pretty sure we're dropping to 12th, but we're about to finish up the race. It's really fun and exciting. Let's watch the end.
Orange, got it. Are your belts nice and tight?
Yes ma'am, never got out of the car.
Okay, you're good.
Am I good to go?
You didn't get fuel, did you?
Yeah, we got fuel.
Oh, well, dude, you've got like 3 minutes left.
I'll hang out here.
Okay.
I'll have a drink.
Okay.
Yeah, Dave! Well, that was it. I think we pulled off 12th place, which is not bad. 4th in class, way better than our previous outing, so that's something to be proud of. Yeah, it was a fun day, long day, crazy day, a lot of good stuff. I think we're getting a lot better as a race team. That's a good thing. Wow, that was a day. That was a long day. I am completely wiped out. It's only 5:30, but I'm just tired is the main thing I feel. We talked about it quite a bit afterwards. Probably the toughest thing for us is that our fuel tank in the Miata just isn't big enough to do a 2-hour flat out stint. It just doesn't work. We would need like 2 more gallons, I think. You know, part of it was probably because I was getting tired towards the end, but I was on the radio with Dave while he was in the car, and I really, really wanted that 11th place. You know, I thought we should do a fuel conservation strategy, but it just wasn't working. You know, I think that Dave was putting in some really quick laps. He was trying to save fuel, but it wasn't really working, and so we ended up needing fuel anyway, but we didn't have all the fast laps we could have gotten out of Dave. Yeah, so it wasn't perfect, and I found myself getting like just frustrated about losing that position, and really it wasn't worth getting too frustrated about it. So we'll learn from that and try to do better next time. And as it turns out, next time is actually tomorrow. So yeah, go home, you know, get all my gear ready, clean some stuff that's soaked with sweat, and get back out there early tomorrow and try it again. The nice thing about tomorrow's race is that it is a 7-hour race instead of an 8-hour race. So our stints, we can go flat out and not worry about it. It's raining right now. It was, ironically, I thought that the starting stint was gonna be the only dry stint. It turns out it was the only rain stint, which of course did not play to my strengths. But then it started raining on us just as we were packing up to leave, so everybody got wet anyway, packing up. So I'm hoping that tomorrow can be dry, but probably, with my luck, we'll at least see some rain. But yeah, I think I'm gonna call it here. Thank you for coming along for the ride with me. Thanks for subscribing. See you next time.